Am I in yet?
Oh.
This is the CHRILLCAST Live. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And today we're going to be talking about The Witcher.
The Witcher.
The Witcher. Why are you acting like a zombie?
No, that's what Geralt does. He always goes.
Oh, yeah, he does go. That's true.
No, but much deeper than that because more like a grunt.
Anyways, enough of that. Tell me, Will, how did you get into the Witcher series before we get into the series itself?
Honestly, I was thinking about this. I was like, did I read the books first or did I play the games first?
Well, and the reason I ask is because I don't remember either of us convincing the other to try The Witcher. I feel like it was just like some happenstance that we both happened to be into The Witcher around the same time.
What happened was that I got Witcher 2 from Games with Gold. I tried like the very first mission when you're like just on that battle sequence on the castle or whatever, and I hated it. So I was like, this is the worst thing ever. And I'll tell you what happened to me in a second. But it was terrible and I didn't like it. Then, fast forward a couple years when the third game came out, I ended up getting on a Thanksgiving deal because everyone's like, this is the greatest RPG of all time. And I got it for like $10. And then I just didn't play it for a long time. But then I started realizing, it has lots of Polish mythology and I'm Polish. So I got interested in the actual books it was based off of. And I went through and I read the books. And then I was like, all right, well, this is really cool. I really like the story. So then I played the second game because I was like, you know what? I don't want to play them out of order best I can. At the time, I didn't have the first one. I didn't have a way of playing it either. So I went through and I finally got to that first sequence. And what I was doing is instead of using the steel sword for people, I was using the silver sword. And things that does almost no damage. I was like, this is fucking terrible. And ends up like, oh no, I'm just an idiot. So so I played the second game. I loved it. And then I played the third game. That game is phenomenal. It's top 5 games for me.
I can just tell you right now, trying to play The Witcher 1 with a controller was both a challenge to the nth degree, which I did complete that challenge. It was a pain, but I managed to finish the first Witcher with a controller. And I know that's not easy to do. People have wrote whole reviews and rants on it. But actually, what's funny is I didn't actually play the Witcher series in order or didn't intend to play it in order at first. I got The Witcher 3 for my wife for Christmas on the Nintendo Switch. And I'd gotten some actually duplicates of games with receipts. I was like, all right, I'll just return these duplicates and get something else. And that's when it struck me that like there's a whole story here that I'm missing for The Witcher 1 and 2. So I went back and bought Witcher 1 and 2 on really good prices. I think I got The Witcher 1 for like maybe $7.99 on Steam. And then The Witcher 2, I got a full inbox complete physical copy for the Xbox 360, the better version, the one that Will did not get the first time. Although maybe he has it now, I don't know.
I mean, the better version of what?
There's 2 different versions of the
I have both of them.
Okay. I couldn't remember if you went back and bought both.
I bought it immediately because I realized it wasn't what I wanted.
Long story short, I got the one that Will wanted, and then he realized that I got the one he wanted and he got the wrong one. But I bought both because I was like, there's a story here that I'm missing when I started playing The Witcher 3, especially since they have that summarized choices plot where you can kind of explain yourself what you did in the previous game. Letho, had no idea who that was. Sheila, however you want to pronounce her name. The Tarsville, however you say that, whatever it is. I had no idea who Triss or Yennefer or any of these characters were. And I was like, man, there's got to be a story here. And what's even funnier to me is Yennefer is mentioned a lot in Witcher 2, but you don't actually really see her at all.
I don't think she's in the game, is she?
No, and then you just get a dream sequence to start Witcher 3. So I assumed Yennefer was in the Witcher 2, and I was sorely mistaken. I'm glad I played the 1 and 2, but that was how I got there. I ended up like, I'm missing the whole story. I want to play the first 2. And so I did that. And then midway through playing The Witcher 1, my wife and I started watching the Netflix series. So I'm sure at some point I'll read the books because I have really enjoyed the Polish mythology of the Witcher.
They are good. You have to realize, though, so although it's called The Witcher, Geralt really isn't the main character.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that is a little bit different. So, like, obviously the games, he's very much...
it's Dandelion, isn't it?
No. So technically...
Dandelion either?
No, it's not Dandelion. You have some point of views from Dandelion's perspective, but it's a lot of it is from Ciri's and Triss or Yennefer's perspective.
Really? That's an odd...
And like describing Geralt as being a badass and also being super cold, and
Yeah, he supposedly looks like a snake based on.
yeah, well, he has the cat eyes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make you look like a snake. That basically the first Witcher game depicts him pretty well in that he's like this skinny but powerful, Hulk of a man.
Yeah, I don't think that's how they really describe him in the So the Witcher's the concept of Witcher is like Polish folklore,
right?
And it's a mistranslation. That's not actually the name of what those things are called, but
lay it on me, Will. What are they really called?
I forget what it is, but like I've looked this up because like I looked into it. There actually used to be another Witcher show from like the 90s, and it's terrible. But anyway,
okay.
So like they could have been basing that characterization not off necessarily the books, but off of like actual folklore. In the books, he honestly, like if you look at the TV show, that's exactly what he sounds like. Yeah, what he looks like.
The Henry Cavill version.
Yep. He very well recruited actor.
Well, he also likes the Witcher series and gaming in general, so there's that.
Yep. Very reserved, and like it just has very quick movements where it's not like a drawn out battle ever. It's very quick.
Yeah, actually, I think if you watched season 2, because I just watched the first episode, man, that was a trip. It was a good show. I actually loved the opening it was even better than the opening for The Witcher season 1, and far less of the things that you were concerned about in season 1.
Yennefer finally had her clothes back on.
Yennefer's not even in the first episode. Oh, yeah, she is. That's not true. She's not with Geralt in the first episode of season 2.
Okay. Well, they're gonna start toying with his heart because like he loves Yennefer, but then like all the sorcerers and sorceresses are just kind of terrible. So they.
So the other thing that drives me nuts is you've got what is it, Lady Tissaia in this show?
Okay.
Where's Triss?
Triss, you saw her in the first season.
Did I? I must have I must not be remembering this. I got to look up which actress plays Triss.
She obviously is going to look very different in the show, so warning you there.
I just want to see. I can't remember what she looks like. Oh, wait, what? It's not that. Images.
Oh, that's her. That's Triss.
That's supposed to be Triss?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't realize
she looks very different. Yeah, but
that's why I didn't realize it was her. That makes a lot more sense now. Yep, she definitely doesn't look like either the book description or the games or anything that I've seen.
Yeah, well, she's supposed to have chestnut hair, so I think her hair color is more close than the games are. But obviously, she's not Polish, so
no, she's definitely not Polish. But it is what it is. I guess.
We'll see how she. I think if I remember correctly, the promo images of what she looks like in season 2, looks a lot better than how she looked in season 1. As far as the hair,
the
other
and the thing, like sorceresses and witchers don't age the same way as everybody else. Like the looks could change over time easily.
Yeah, so they're both essentially immortal. Witchers actually, no one knows how old they can get because they never die of old age. They die when they get eaten by something.
Right. Okay, so now we've kind of given our intro to the series. Like I've seen the TV show and I've played the games, and you've played the games and read the books and dabbled with the TV show.
Mm-hmm. I saw most of the first season.
What about the Witcher series actually drew you to it?
I love fantasy.
Like although you like kind of explained yourself, like nothing forces you to finish a game. What made you decide to finish The Witcher 2, to finish The Witcher 3? What kept you playing it?
Just honestly, really compelling, rich, deep gameplay, and the storytelling is so intricate. And there's also you don't feel, how some games can feel really simple, and sometimes that's okay. And there's not really a grand story happening around you, and you're just like a small piece of that puzzle. And The Witcher, it's almost like Game of Thrones, where you have all these kings that are battling each other. There's this grand conquering of a land, and you're really not involved, but you're going through these set pieces, and it feels like a real living, breathing world. And obviously the gameplay is fun. I like learning the different signs, and you have the 2 different swords, and you have lots of cool little sword tricks, and it's just fun leveling up your character to become almost like a god in the 3rd game.
It is kind of crazy because I didn't think about it that way, but The Witcher is a series where what you're doing really at the end of the day
has nothing to do,
very minimal. I mean, other than
so that's not true. So the grand story So you have the human affairs. You're barely interacting with that, other than people are trying to use you as a pawn against everyone else because you are, master swordsman, you're Witcher.
You got like your own motivation going on and behind the scenes. And although you're not really trying to meet the demands or necessarily fulfill the demands or the wants of the people in the games, you end up doing that in like the weirdest ways, or like in like hidden ways, or like at some point you're almost like a Secret Service who's not really not Secret Service, like what is it, MI5? You're almost like you're like James Bond, but you're like the creepy monster hunter James Bond.
Yeah, well, the thing is, there is a story that you care about. So you care about the child surprise and the destiny, and you care about the wild hunt. So like that's your story. But the thing is, there's so much else going on that you have to navigate through as you are really finding Ciri. So that's the whole point of the game, is trying to find Ciri again. And I don't know, it's fascinating.
We'll find Ciri and Yennefer and the wild hunt.
Yeah, I wasn't cared about. I didn't care about Yennefer as much because I'd read the books.
That is another funny thing about The Witcher, is like if there's a storyline you don't necessarily care about going on that you could care about, you can kind of just avoid that story and just
so you can romance Triss or Yennefer or both. And I'm telling you, I cannot figure out. Yeah, I cannot figure out. Well, there's a couple other witches that I don't remember their names. But
no. Shani is the main love interest from the first game. If you don't pick Triss.
Oh, okay. But
she's in one of the DLCs of The Witcher 3.
Oh, okay. I tried to romance Triss in the third game, and I just, for whatever reason, I screwed it up. Like she sails away. I'm just like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
And like the whole game, you're like, I won't accept you, Yennefer. I won't.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing is, like, I was trying to be as cold as possible to her,
and she still end up with her. You. That's so funny.
Yeah, well, she wants you more because you do that, and the game knows what you're doing. It's really crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. I wonder what you did to mess it up with Triss.
I don't know. I tried to kiss her at a water fountain, and I think maybe I went too quickly because she knows I'm technically with Yennefer at this point.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I think that's what happened. So I tried to force it too quickly.
Gotcha.
Because honestly, I don't know the story between the Witcher 2 and Witcher 3. There seems to be a time gap because it seems like I was missing a lot of context where like that game ends and the next one picks up.
Are you not aware of what happens between those two games?
No, I guess not.
I believe there's like a comic series online or something you can get. I'd have to look up. I know there's like some canon thing to it that goes in between.
Yeah, there has to be because it does definitely, like, a lot happens in between the two.
Maybe it's this. I think there's also like this weird adventure game thing they did in like 2014. I can't remember. I know there's something that explains the in-between of The Witcher 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, I mean. But I can't remember how you find out. Let's see. Witcher Mobile. No.
In the third game, you actually get to play as Ciri a couple times, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. I did know that because I saw some gameplay breaking loops where you play as Ciri where you're not supposed to. And it gets pretty dicey at times.
She's not nearly as much fun to play as because she doesn't have many of the Witcher abilities yet.
Okay, so the Witcher Tales precedes the first game. Let's see. It even it has 5 regions. Okay, I might actually have to check this Thronebreaker game out. I keep seeing it advertised on Steam, so maybe I'll have to check that one out. But I know there's something. I'm going to just look this up. We're going to find out what happens between The Witcher 2 and 3.
Sounds good.
What is...
Have you started the third game yet?
Yeah, I have, yeah. Between Witcher 2...
Oh, so do you know who the vampire is yet? The head vampire?
No, I'm not that far along yet.
He's in the very beginning of the game. So, like, he's in that opening region. So you can find him.
So I'm curious here. So what much happens? Witcher 3
apparently changes side of the face.
Or they just mirrored the image.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right, let's see here. Over the course of the second game, gain his memories. How do you even find out? See here. Geralt clears his name, travels with Vesemir. Yeah, we know about Vesemir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got Roach. Third Nilfgaardian War began between Witcher 2 and 3. I don't know where you get all this information. Oh yeah, Radovid. This guy, I can't stand this guy. Like at the end of the second game, you have the option to hand over the heir to the throne of, spoiler alert, the heir to the throne of Temeria. And I wanted to just kill Radovid. Like he was in the first game, and this guy's a
I went with the Scoia'tael in the second game, and I was able to like find out that the dragon's actually
Saskia.
Yeah. So she becomes the queen, right? In my
version? Not of Redania. She'd be the queen of the other one. Hensfold.
Oh no, this guy's in the third game. You can kill this guy.
Yeah, I want to so badly.
Oh yeah, you totally can kill this guy in the third game.
He meddles in the first game, and he knows that the Order of the Flaming Rose is bad, and then he hires them to work security in Lochmoyne. I'm like, you motherfucker!
Well, he kills.
Like this guy's a piece. I hate this guy. So like when I found out you had to work with him, even for one quest, I was like, even for one quest in The Witcher 2, working with this guy is too much for me. I do not like this guy.
Mm-hmm. No, he sucks.
But the thing is, like, I realized I probably should have played The Witcher 1 not neutral. The Witcher 1 is the only game that you can finish the game neutral, full-blown, like, Polish history Witcher neutral. Mm-hmm. Like, you can literally follow the entire path, not choose a side, let everybody kill each other, and then still finish the game with the best ending. But you lose your pal Siegfried, who, cool. Because you lose him, he's the only good guy. Like he's the most redeeming guy in the Order of the Flaming Rose. And I really liked his character. And when I found out that my neutral ending wound up with him dying, I was like, oh, shoot. Because I like him. Mm-hmm. And then in the second game, the Order of the Flaming Rose will be kind to you if you didn't, accidentally kill him or get him killed.
Okay.
But if he dies, then you get attacked by every Order of the Flaming Rose person possible. I like Siegfried. He was actually, if you do side with the Order of the Flaming Rose, you expose the conspiracy of the leader, and then the leader, you still kill him, and then Siegfried lives and changes the order for the better. But I think they still kind of go bad by The Witcher 3. I could be wrong. I don't know if they play any part in The Witcher 3, actually.
I don't remember. Yeah. There's so much that goes on in that game that you can either ignore or, like, it's just so much going on.
They're probably in Redania or part of Redania at that point because they helped Redania out at Lochmoyne in the second game. Anyways, long story short, I was so angry that he still decided to hire the Order of the Flaming Rose to work security at Lochmoyne during the negotiations at the end of the game. When he knows that they're the corruption that almost destroyed Temeria, in the first game, I'm like, you suck, dude. Like, and even Geralt reacts in a way that I would expect him to. Like, how can I trust you? Hiring these guys to work security. Like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Anyways, long story short, there's really good writing on the team of CD Projekt Red.
Do you see the bottom sentence of this? Speaking of good writing.
Yeah, let's see here.
Ciri, a powerful being known as the source capable of interdimensional travel, who prior to the third game spent some time in the cyberpunk game.
Really? Oh, it's an Easter egg. Okay. It's an Easter egg. That's a different story. All right. So
no, I think that's canon. She mentions that she goes there.
Does she really?
Yeah. In the game, she mentions that she's there.
That's interesting. I did not know that. Well, I do really like the games that CD Projekt Red has put out so far. Even the Gwent card game on mobile is a lot of fun. And Cyberpunk 2077 didn't live up to the high expectations I had for it, but it's not a bad game.
Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten to it yet.
It could definitely be a lot worse. Yeah, I do think one of the biggest strengths they have is just like Mass Effect and that whole universe. These games are interconnected to the nth degree, and you can definitely see a continuous story. But I agree with you. There is like this missing span of time between The Witcher 2 and Witcher 3, and
a lot seems to change because like I end the second game like totally in love with Triss. Seemed like we're a thing, and then you start off the third game with Yennefer. I was like, what happened? Yennefer wasn't even in the second game, so
yeah. I guess what do you think is the biggest disconnect in these games then? Like, 'cause I definitely think The Witcher 3 should have began with the interrogation that sets it up for you, so the game could have set itself up right from the get-go instead of waiting until you get to that interrogation, like what, almost an entire chapter in, basically.
Yeah. So is that I'm getting confused now. The interrogation, does that happen in the second game?
There's an interrogation in the second game. There's like a little like it's not an interrogation, but it basically is an interrogation.
Yeah, again, the guard dude ends up becoming your friend.
You're talking about Roche.
Yeah.
Brennan Roche. That's the second game. But there is also like a questionnaire. We'll call it a questionnaire. You're visiting I think a king or a duke or something in the third game. Because I've gotten this far before the first time I played it. I think I got somewhere into like 3, 4, or 5 hours in the first time I played it.
I remember not remembering any of the decisions. I'm like, oh crap, I have no idea what I did.
Okay, actually Vesemir I think is in the first Witcher 2, by the way.
Okay.
He doesn't play like a major role. But he's in it. Anyways, long story short, going back to what I was saying. I believe when you go to the castle, there's a guy asking you about the events prior to The Witcher 3 that you can set up The Witcher 3.
This, yeah.
It's not an interrogation like the second one, but it kind of is because it's setting up your interview with the king so he knows your background before he talks to you.
Yeah. It's either that or you're actually talking. It's in Nilfgaard, right? Isn't it a Nilfgaardian?
I think you're right. I think it is Nilfgaard, but I believe that his like head of security interviews you before you go there. So something along those lines. Yeah. You're not with the king. You're in your room that you're staying at in the Nilfgaardian castle prior to your audience.
I vaguely remember this.
I think that's what it is. But it also takes like a solid couple of hours into the game. You've already killed the griffin. You've already seen what the world looks like. You're angry that the events of The Witcher 2, where you handed off, was it Anais to whoever you handed her off to, or rather you sided with Scoia'tael, whatever one it is, right? And the world you would think would be different. Like in my mind, Temeria would be ruled by, I think it's Natalis, sheriff or constable, whatever the guy is. He's like essentially head of the police force, internal police for Temeria or whatever. You would think that he would still be in charge of Temeria because of Nilfgaard's invasion, Redania, and Foltest. That's not Foltest. What the heck? Hensfold?
That's another one, yeah.
I can't think of what the guy's name is. My brain's not getting there.
There are a lot of kings, so it is confusing.
Hensfeld. King Hensfeld. That's what it is. Hensfeld. Hensfeld and King Radovid have kind of jumped in and like become sort of pseudo kings of Temeria as well as Nilfgaard's invasion. So everybody's kind of taking advantage of Temeria in their hour of need, which makes me so angry because you spend the first 2 games essentially defending or part of Temeria. So it's like, dang, to have fallen so far.
Yep.
All right. Anyways, that you can tell I'm in like the storyline is what keeps me coming
it's
back.
Fascinating.
I love the storyline going on. And despite the fact that, like we said before, your part is a small part to play with big impacts, despite the fact that what your goal is has nothing to do with what's going on external to your goals.
Yep.
And I kind of love that because you can kind of play hands off or like as much as you want and not even interact with a lot of these things.
Yep. And a lot of times you're given choices. So like when you're looking for Ciri, because that's like a big part of the third game is you're looking for Ciri. You can pursue several different paths that will lead you to a clue. So you can do all of the paths and find a bunch of clues, or you can go like to Skellig and only go there, find that clue, and then go like continue on the main quest. Or you can backtrack and find her little memory in the swamps where the crones are. Or you can, not just do that one, but also go to this fort and find another memory that she had there. It's fascinating. Well, speaking of the crones, like you're gonna love that quest because if you actually continue that quest, so it's not just you don't just meet them once. You can go back and there's like a whole nother quest that forms out of that, and every single other location, by the way. So as you're following her storyline, like Ciri's storyline, you can either just continue on the main quest, or now once you've interacted with this set of people, you can like pursue all the quests that they suddenly have. So like these stories just build on themselves. But for the crones, this won't ruin anything. But at some point, you have these little dolls that they have left out for you, and depending on which one you pick up, will actually kill someone else.
What?
And the thing is, you can kill main characters, so like you can completely obliterate like all story progress because you've killed someone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Does it break the game if you do that?
It doesn't break the game, but you will be like, oh shit, I just killed like this person that I'm helping.
So
instead of saving the person I was trying to help.
I just remembered how you can get to the events from The Witcher 2 to The Witcher 3, in case you were curious. There's some things you have to assume, but I remember reading through like some of the canon and whatever, because I was prepping myself for The Witcher 3. And essentially what you have to do is you have to play both endings of The Witcher 2. Okay. Because there's some storyline aspects that no matter which one you decide is the path you took when you play The Witcher 3, you need to know both sides of the story to really understand what's going on in The Witcher 3, because you need to know about what the Scoia'tael Rebellion's goals are and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. You need to know about Saskia, which you don't know if you don't play, because she could be Queen of Aedirn or whatever. That really doesn't affect what happens. But Letho, when you confront him on the other side, the side you did not do, I'm assuming you don't get to confront Letho in The Witcher 2 if you go the Scoia'tael route, do you?
No, you do.
Oh, you still get okay. So anyways, he basically says that he's heading back to Nilfgaard because they're planning an invasion, and he had to kill the kings to create the chaos, and that they were going to give him a new Witcher school in Nilfgaard.
Yeah, he explains himself. So you have this confrontation. You can either fight him or not, and I just chose not to fight him because the explanation made a lot of sense at the time.
Well, so. I didn't fight him either, because at that point, he means nothing to any of these people. There's absolutely, like, the Witcher would never kill somebody who A, is not giving him any coin, B, has absolutely nobody after him at that point, mm-hmm. which no one cares about Letho at that point, and C, it'd be pointless killing, because let's face it, he's not a monster. He's a Witcher. He's part of Geralt's flock, his brotherhood, whatever you want to call it. So there's no point to kill him. Nobody's asking him to kill him. And there's no advantage to killing him.
Yep.
Once I sorted that out in my head, I was like, I'm not going to kill Letho. Like, there's no point. And in case he does play any part in The Witcher 3, I kind of want to know what happens.
I don't think he does.
I do believe you find out what happens to him in The Witcher 3.
Yeah, you do. You do to talk about him. And the thing is, you might be able to find him in the game, but like for my playthrough, I didn't find him.
Gotcha.
It's huge. It's a huge game. Like you can spend hours in each location and do like unlimited quests, but it doesn't seem daunting. So like at first you might feel like you're like up against too much, but the way that everything's laid out and how you realize you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, it's much better.
So my question for you is, where's Triss at the end of your playthrough?
In 2 or 3?
2.
Honestly, she's at the last battle with me. So she is there, and she. Trying to think.
So do they expose the sorceress's plot in the version?
Yeah, because I blow up that chick.
Okay, yeah. So the plot's still exposed. So all the sorcerers are on the run. So in my mind, what happens after that can explain why Triss and you aren't together anymore is that you've exposed the plot. Triss is on the run, and of course she's not very happy with you at that point. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Geralt and Triss probably aren't together after that.
But how do you get the romance? I know it's an option.
in the second game?
In the third game.
Oh, in the third game. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. But what I can tell you is that those choices in The Witcher 2, no matter what you do, leads to the sorceresses having to be on the run.
Yep.
There are some parts that is one of the funny things about The Witcher, in my opinion, is it definitely shows that you cannot change the fate of certain events in the world.
No, because you're going through the actual story of the books. But what's nice is that Geralt has all these adventures that are just hinted towards. So you can have all the stuff that you can do in the game, so it still hit the major plot points without really changing anything. And they did an amazing job. I wish they would do something like this for the Lord of the Rings game.
Oh, that would be amazing. Now,
that'd be great.
For me, what The Witcher presents is, and do you understand what I'm saying? Like how it kind of already leads you to believe like what events are going to take place, despite the fact that there's nothing leading up to it to show you that.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, The Witcher is like that perfect middle ground between, say, like Skyrim and Fable.
Okay.
That's where for me, it kind of sits somewhere in between it. It is difficult at times. It can be like learning kind of because when I first started playing, I was like, there's no actual strategy here. You just whip an opponent, run away until you can kill them. And yes, that strategy can work across the board if you know the enemy's actual, gameplay loop and all that stuff. But you can pretty much create a strategy for any enemy and beat them. And so there is strategy there to beating the NPCs of the world, the enemies of the world. But for me, learning that loop, winning against these enemies that seemed almost impossible was pretty cool. And I'm assuming The Witcher 3, there's a lot more of that. I haven't actually finished The Witcher 3.
There's a lot more. For whatever reason, even though there's way more variety and you have to be way more strategic because there's so many more monsters, it seemed less daunting for whatever reason.
The Witcher 3?
So, yeah, The Witcher 3. So you get these like bestiary notes. So like you can read through the bestiary notes and it tells you how to kill them. So then you're like, okay, well, I'm coming up to this creature. You can see it in the distance, like you see the health bar. And okay, well, there's like a griffin over here. So like for a griffin, I have to do this certain thing. Or like it gives you like a couple different options. So it's not like, well, you have to have these purple berries. You can be like, well, purple berries are silver, or a torch can do it. So you can actually like do all that, or you can combine it and make a purple berry bomb or something, which is really cool. But yeah, so it's actually really fun to figure out different techniques to taking down the monsters. There's an exception. So there are these wraiths that basically the only way you're going to get them is if you do the trap. I don't remember, is it the Yarden sign?
Yeah, Yarden, yep. Because they can basically kill you in a couple hits, right?
Yes, they can mess you up even when you're super strong. So you have to trap them. Otherwise, they are always ethereal and your sword goes right through them. So you trap
the trap kind of puts them in the physical world instead of the metaphysical world, yeah. Actually, I ran into a bunch of wraiths in the second game because there's like an underground medical laboratory where they did experiments on people and you can fight the wraiths. So that's pretty cool. Purple berry bomb sounds like, yes, it does. or a very interesting drink, maybe.
Yep.
Or some kind of other illicit.
Something that has recently become legal in our state.
Could be that, yeah. Could be that too.
Yeah.
And somebody should take notes and maybe make that. All right. Long story short, purple weed. No, I'm just kidding. Long story short, The Witcher 3 is probably what I was expecting to feel when I opened up Breath of the Wild for the first time. It is like this fantastical, large, open world where I feel like I'm making progress at every point of what I'm doing. Versus the Breath of the Wild, where I feel like I could do tons of things and make no progress.
Yeah, well, it's two different design philosophies. Like you can't just run to the end of The Witcher 3 and fight the Wild Hunt. You would be obliterated. There's no way you could do it. And I realized, like, technically you should be obliterated by Ganon at the end, or if you try to do it in the very beginning of the Link, but whatever.
I mean, I disagree with better graphics if you play the Switch version.
The Switch version's fine. Honestly,
it looks great. I'm surprised they put that on there.
Honestly, it's much better than it has any right to be. So it basically looks like a 360 title, and there's no draw distance. So everything up close looks okay, but like past like 10 feet in the game world, it's just boring.
Yeah, buildings do float in like magic.
Yeah. Oh, well, monsters float in, and that's when it really trips you out because suddenly there's a dragon. You're like, oh crap!
You're like, oh shoot. Oh, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think ended up in urgent care? Oh, geez. That's a story I'd like to hear the end of.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very interesting. But long story short, which game would you play first out of the CG Projekt Red games?
Oh man, probably The Witcher 3. I realize that it screws up the story for you, but I don't think you necessarily need all the backstory. It definitely helps with a lot of politics and a lot of characters.
Oh
but
yeah.
As far as the actually enjoying the game, I think you're okay with it. And not everyone's going to play the first game and think that the rest of them are worthwhile, or even the second game because it's kind of clunky. The third game is just perfection.
The older I get, the more willing I am to suffer through subpar prequel games, games that are like a little harder on the eyes, a little harder to play, just because I play less games and I want to know the whole series. So like if I was starting Halo, like our friend Spencer from SMT Network, I would do what he's doing. I would play the games in order, starting from the get-go. And I'm not saying they're bad games, but that's how I would do it. I would automatically just go to the first game. Like if I was going to start Mass Effect,
the people who haven't played The Witcher 3 now, or at least like don't have it in their backlog ready to go, are people who are probably newer gamers. So like not millennials, but whatever.
They're not like me, who's been playing games since the 90s.
Yeah. So the thing is, we know what that jank is like, and we like and appreciate that jank. Newer players don't like the jank, and they don't know what that is.
That's
if he doesn't play like Fortnite out of the gate, they're not gonna like it.
No, Fortnite out of the gate was a horrible game.
Oh my gosh, that's true. Well, it was a zombie game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like Fortnite Save the World or something.
Mm-hmm.
I guess here's the next question for you, Will. So they're making another Witcher game. Where do you want it to take place?
It's got to be series story.
Fourth game.
It's got to be series story.
Let's see what they've said so far.
Unless it is like a reboot or it's a prequel or it's like in between or something. I think the way that at least my playthrough ended with The Witcher 3, I would be really kind of upset if they bring Geralt back into it.
All right, here we go. The Witcher 4, everything we know so far.
Oh, it's a different school. Okay.
School of the Links, the Medallion, and more theories.
Oh, no, it's just a theory. Sorry. I thought that's what they're saying.
The Witcher 4 is happening. We do know that. That's not a theory. That is happening. It's probably because CD Projekt Red kind of they've exhausted anything they could have done to save the Cyberpunk game. So they're moving back to the franchise that everybody knows and loves. So The Witcher 4 is happening, although it may not happen anytime soon. We do at least know that the developer CD Projekt Red is working on our next jaunt through Rivia. Back in March, CDPR said it's happy to announce the next installment of the Witcher series of video games is currently in development, kicking off a new saga for the franchise. CD Projekt Red has now elaborated on a little more, saying that Witcher 4 has concluded its research phase, which is a brilliant milestone because that means the storyline is set, right? I hope so. As it means the game is now heading towards the very early stages of the development and pre-production, and although
this will
details
also
are
be
scarce,
on Unreal. Did you already say that?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I think 3 is on Unreal, isn't it?
No, it's on their.
It's on their custom. Oh, really? Okay. Although the details are scarce right now, what we do know is that it won't be launching anytime soon. With the game's announcement coming with neither release date or platforms confirmed or even teased, it's clear the developer has quite a bit on its plate already. It's working on Witcher 3, PS5, and Xbox Series X. That is one thing. Internally, this company basically never doles out their ports to other companies after the horrible experience they had with The Witcher 1. Yeah, they did let Witcher 2 go to somebody else to put it on the 360, but
I didn't know that.
The original Witcher.
Honestly, they have a promo image that they showed at E3 or whatever that would be considered this year.
That's just Unreal Engine.
Where's the promo image? I guess it's not in the article.
We'll go back there. Let me finish reading what it said here, though. Let's see here. They're continuing to Beaverway and DLC patches for Cyberpunk 2077, which is something cool about CD Projekt Red. Is like, even if you don't like the company for other reasons, they do continue to support their games post-launch despite any negative press. For now, we'll just keep binge watching Netflix. And the Netflix series is great. I love the Netflix series. Let's see here. We're going to call it The Witcher 4 for now because they don't have an official game. A name that makes sense. Let's see here. Anything else? Witcher was designed as a trilogy, and a trilogy cannot have a fourth part, can it? We like this world a lot. We invested 15 years, so we'll think about making one at some point. This, I guess, was a while back. Please consider us as rational people. We sometimes have weird ideas, but overall, our thinking is very rational. We have full rights to the Witcher games. They are ours. We have invested enormous funds into promoting it. It's a very strong brand. I agree. It is a very strong brand. No, the game won't be called.
You can see the promo image. There's a reason why I wanted to point that out.
Where is the promo?
It must not be in this article. Just look up like news articles when you.
Let me see if it's in here. Hold on. Well, the promo image, isn't that the one that was in the thumbnail I created?
Maybe. I don't know what's the thumbnail you created.
You haven't seen it. Never mind. Okay. See, is this it right here?
Yes.
Is that it?
So what does that look like to you?
Wolf.
If it's a wolf, then it's going to be either Ciri or Geralt. So, but it looks like it has little tufts on its ears. So that could be a lynx. So that's why they're saying the School of the Lynx.
Oh, yeah. I guess it kind of does look like a lynx. Yeah, a little bit.
So it is a completely new Witcher then.
You don't think it'll be Geralt?
And there's no way they're going to continue the story. His story is done. So I'd be upset because they tell you that he lives happily ever after. So I don't want that to change.
Okay. Maybe they could do either trilogy set in a different time period.
Yeah, I mean they could. I mean he's hundreds of years old, so they could just have him
That's true.
doing something else. So
Yeah.
it's either that, but if
play
it is a wolf, it's got to be Siri.
They
And
need
that
to
would
go
be
the
interesting.
Gollum route. They need to go the Gollum route and create a game about Dandelion.
No,
Just
oh my
following
gosh.
the Bard's tale.
That'd be terrible.
It'd just be a whole lot of ladies manning it up at everywhere you go and playing music and doing that kind of stuff. That'd be the whole game. Dandelion and getting into trouble and asking Geralt to help you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole scene in The Witcher 1 where he's running out of like this house and goes to the bar, and then he's like, Geralt, I think this man's gonna kill me because I hooked up with his daughter.
That's how he is in every game. Like, so
he has to go convince him not to do. It's like
you have to save his butt several times in the third game. Like, there's a whole like murder mystery plot where you like try to find him.
Yeah. Well, in the second game, he's about to get hung at the gallows.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
When you find him, he's like, he was joining the Scoia'tael. He's like, I was not. And then you find out later, you totally were, liar.
Yep.
I do love like that Geralt is so loyal to his friends, despite like some of the dumb stuff that they do.
Like two of them. Yes.
Is it Dandelion, and then you got the three women, Ciri, Triss, and Yennefer, and then Shani too. Shani not so much in the second and third game. And then there's the dwarf guy. I can never remember what his name is.
I think it starts with a Y. He's in the books too. I can't remember his name though.
It's not Zevek, because that's the army guy outside the area I keep thinking of. So there's I thought it was a Z though.
Oh, maybe it is. Look up this Geralt's dwarf friend.
Dwarf Geralt's friend.
Yeah. Zoltan. Oh my gosh.
Chive. That's right. I like Zoltan a lot. The drunkard that I think his wife left him or something.
Mm-hmm.
he's quite a. Well, they talk about his wife leaving him in the first game.
Okay, he has,
or rather, he's away from his wife.
Third game.
I don't remember. I think he's away from his wife in the first game for some reason. Anyways, I like Zoltan. He's hilarious. Freaking bullies. What? Who's the bully? Who's the bully? What are you talking about? All right. So you're saying you think the new game needs to be about a new person, whether it be Ciri or somebody else. You would like to see it. Actually, I think it'd be cool to see so in the first game, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the first game and the second game kind of follow a similar narrative in that there's another Witcher out there causing problems for Geralt. However, in the first game, it's a major plot point, but it's not the major plot point. Whereas the second game, Letho is like the major plot point to start the game, Kingslayer, right? In the first game, he just happens to be important to the story. He's like in front of Geralt significantly and doing almost all the same things Geralt's trying to do ahead of him. And then you find out like he's doing it because he doesn't give a crap about the Witchers, and he's angry that he became one, and da-da-da-da. It's a long story, but he's not a good person. I ended up killing him instead of Letho.
Okay.
Because he was just not. I felt bad about it, but at the same time, it's like this guy deserves he deserves to end his life at this point. I'm trying to remember what his name was. The other Witcher in Witcher. Berengar. That's right, Berengar.
What school is he from? Do you remember?
School of the Wolf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Taught by Vesemir. That's right. So at, was it Kaer Morhen?
Kaer Morhen.
And that's actually where you start the first game, is in Kaer Morhen. You are defending it from a siege where somebody steals the mutagens. Somebody steals all the mutagens, which ends up being a major plot point because the person who stole them gives them to the guy who basically turns everybody into these freakish, spoilers, ape-looking things that can survive the ice age that's coming.
Great. Okay.
Winter is coming.
No, it really is coming. Actually, I'm curious where the winter is coming thing comes from. These stories are older, I believe, than Game of Thrones. So. Oh
yeah, definitely. Now the winter is coming thing in The Witcher it's a serious freaking ice age because they show it to Geralt at the end of the first game. They go to the future.
You get to play through it in the third game, so like you actually go through different dimensions. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm gonna be interested to see how this goes.
Oh, no, it's no joke.
Yeah, The Witcher 1. You get to see the whole ending scene is like that area, and you go through the dimension in the future through what's the guy's name? There's a character that's very important.
What race is he?
He's a human.
Okay.
Leader of the Order of the Flame Rose. Jacques d'Alsberg. That's right. So there's like this little boy that's like demented or demonically possessed, has a spirit within him. He's a major character of the first game. And if you do everything right, you find out that him and Jacques d'Alsberg are the same freaking person.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he's like a time traveler, and he's the leader in The Witcher 1. He's the one that can send Geralt into the future. So he's actually existing in two different places in time.
Oh, geez. Okay.
In the same time period. It's like he's a boy. He's like some demonic spirit thing. And he's Jacques d'Alsberg, leader of the Order of the Flame Rose. And he's the guy you kill at the end of the game. So he can like clearly slip through time. He's got that power somehow. Grand Master Jacques d'Alsberg of the Order of the Flame Rose. And you kill him in the first game. But then I wonder, is he actually dead because the little boy still exists?
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on in this game. So the dimensions are really cool. And also, like, humans are actually travelers to another dimension. So the humans in this world are not, like, native. So the only things
is that
that
how
are
they
native,
got there and overthrew the elves?
Yeah, so the only thing that's actually native are the gnomes and the dwarves. And then the elves are not native. They came like 1,000 years before the humans, and then the humans came through, but then monsters came through as well at the same time.
So did the dwarves and the elves get along?
No. At first, they actually fought each other, and then humans came, and the elves decided just to start killing people.
So the Scoia'tael, how do they become the Scoia'tael if they're working together? Like, how did the dwarves and the elves get together?
That's like hundreds of years later.
Okay.
Humans are like multiply much faster, so they're kind of subjugating the lands, and they're creating their own little, empires. And at that point, they are essentially racist against all the other non-human species. And at that point, that's when the elves and some of the dwarves decide to team up.
So I'm wondering if the order goes away after the second game. I'm curious.
I don't remember hearing about this, so
they must go away. But basically, the order, the whole point of their existence is to just literally kill all non-humans.
They're that's like everybody in the game. So maybe it was redundant.
Right. I mean, they pretend they're kind of like this is right here. I got the vibes of like the Knights Templar, the Teutonic Order, whatever you want to call them. But I think it's funny they didn't bring them back for the third game. Yeah, here, look at this. Unfortunately, strong racist tendencies, even strengthened by the leadership of Jacques d'Alsberg, turned the new order into a nest of intolerance. Its role in the Vizima rebellion still remains morally ambiguous. So I think they probably disappeared in The Witcher 3 because like nobody liked them.
Yep.
But I was still so angry that Redania, freaking, he knows what happened in The Witcher 1. He was part of it. He was freaking communicating to Triss via a mirror and everybody else via mirrors. He knew what was going on, and he still brought them back for Loch Moyne. Like, F that guy. Yeah. I will kill him in the third game. He's done.
Do it. Yeah, you get a whole assassination plot.
I do not like him.
I never finished it, so let me know how it goes.
I'm definitely going to take that guy out. That guy needs to go. How do you hire the group that just like destroyed Vizima to secure Loch Moyne? Like, F that guy. All right, long story short, Order of the Flaming Rose is a really cool plot that ends in The Witcher 2, apparently.
Okay.
But Jacques d'Alsberg is like a time traveling, I don't even know what you'd call him. Okay. Really crazy dude. Let's see, prominent members. So Jacques d'Alsberg, this guy, honestly, this is the reason why playing The Witcher 1 is worth it. Just to know all this background story, because you care so much more about these minuscule things in The Witcher 2 and 3. And that's another thing that this game does very well. The story that it tells is so compelling that you actually feel stuff in the game.
So here's something for you. So there's tons of little details in the games, especially the third one, where you could just look at every single frame and there's something hidden there for you. There's this one character that you see recurring in multiple locations. He has like a hood on, you never see his face, and he always bumps into you. And his like name is something along the lines of like suspicious traveler or something. And I want to know if he actually is like part of another quest that I never found because he seems so strange and he kept bumping into me. So anyway, when you're playing, I want to know.
It's not on the Game Boy Advance, Jisnif. It's never been on the Game Boy Advance. So here's what I was telling you about before. Remember when I was telling you could actually kill the King of the Wild Hunt in the end of the first game? So at the end of the game, Jacques Alberg, the Wild Hunt shows up to take him. Even though this is like a dream world, I don't think it's like the real Wild Hunt, but it is kind of the real Wild Hunt because they want to take him. And you can either give the guy to the King of the Wild Hunt in order to, walk away with no fight, or you can just say no and kill him yourself, and the Wild Hunt gets enraged and wants to kill you.
Okay.
And you fight him. So I'm curious now what that plot point is and what happens if you kill him. Yeah, this is what he looks like in the first game. So I'm trying to remember what happens if you
maybe it's just a spectral form that he sends forth.
Let's see here. So what happens if you kill him, though? That's what I want to know. King of the Wild Hunt appeared. Oh, it's in the vision. So he's not technically real.
Okay.
But you can still kill him. But I find it so odd that you, in the vision of Jacques Alberg, you can hand him to the Wild Hunt and have him kill him. So Jacques Alberg's vision kills himself. That's freaking weird. Oh well, whatever. That's a plot hole in my opinion. But I think that playing the first game is worth it for only that reason alone, knowing all of that stuff. Because there's a lot of things that I got references to in The Witcher 2 that I guarantee Will had absolutely no idea what was going on. Like a random soldier shows up in your second encampment if you play the Vernon Roche side.
Okay.
And he's like, "I'm here to kill you for Siegfried," and it's like, "But I loved Siegfried." Anyways, long story short, there's just so many. The writing is so compelling, it's so well done, and I'm excited for the new Witcher game.
Oh,
but I hope they don't ruin the original trilogy, which I doubt they will, and still give us either Easter eggs or hints of the other games or something.
Oh, I'm sure they will. It's going to be in the same world, and you might even see Geralt. I just don't want him to be the main character because, again, you'll understand when you play through the third game. Like, he finally can rest.
Ooh, what would be interesting would be if Letho's sect of the Witchers ends up being the main group in the new series.
Was it the Vipers? That's his school.
Oh, he was Vipers. You're right. So what was? I guess I need to look up all the different Witchers possible here.
Well, you have Lynx, Vipers. You find them all in the game, so you actually find their outfits and you can change out their outfits and stuff. But I don't remember all of them.
This is actually like a book or something or a thing. Witcher Wiki. Oh yeah, reading the books in order. No.
Oh yeah, if you're gonna read the books, make sure you read the short stories before.
Orders of the Witchers, not Order of the Witchers. Orders of the Witchers. Okay, well let's just see what this says.
Just do Schools of the Witchers.
Oh, schools. That's a good point. Schools. Kaer Morhen was cool. Getting to see that in the first game.
You spent a lot of time there in the third one.
Kaer Morhen? I know you have the vision in the beginning of the game. Witcher schools. There we go. So there's wolf, cat, griffin, bear, viper, manticore, crane. They don't have links.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Maybe cat then?
Maybe it's just cat.
School of the cat. Huh.
There's a Witcher right now in the book. I'm rereading the books right now, and he's one from one of the other schools, but I already forgot which one it was.
But yeah, I mean, with all those schools available, you could really follow any Witcher story, I suppose.
Yep. And the ones in the south supposedly are doing better than the ones in the north. Because Kaer Morhen has been destroyed. That's why there's almost no Witcher stuff.
Pretty much just, question for you, Will. Is it worth reading the books to supplement the games in any way, shape, or form? Or is it kind of its own thing?
So the books are set way before the games.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean... It
so
gives you the backstory.
They're almost like telling different stories in the same.
Yes, it's like I guess you probably haven't read the Fire and Blood or the Dunk and Egg stories for Game of Thrones. You haven't read Game of Thrones, never mind.
I haven't read it. I refuse to read George R. R. Martin's stuff until he finishes his series.
Okay,
he never finishes it. I guess I'll never read it.
I'm trying to think of how to explain it then. Oh yeah, I guess just to your point, it's just two different points in the timeline. So the books are set, at least, so I haven't read all of them. So
is it more like Star
7.
Wars, where you have all these stories outside of the main film series?
No, it's all in the same. It is the main line. It's just, think of it as the games set up or happen after he loses his memory. The books are before he loses his memory.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like what would be a better one? It'd be like, like it's all one character. Mm-hmm. It'd be like if they had more Star Wars books prior to the prequel about, say, I don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
And if Qui-Gon Jinn was in all the movies.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a continuous timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's canon, essentially.
It's explaining like what Witchers are, and then also him getting the child surprise, which is Ciri, then him training Ciri, then like losing Ciri.
And the Netflix series follows the book.
Yeah, so that first season is based off of the short stories before the books start.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's all in the short stories, and then you like I'm assuming that this next season starts off with the first book, because that's where the first season ended with the where the short stories ended. The
first episode of the next series shows up with Geralt with Ciri traveling, and they're together traveling. He doesn't have Yennefer or Triss anywhere near him.
Okay.
And they are trying to find a safe place to go before they go to, I think, Kaer Morhen's where they're headed.
Okay, so it's essentially they're starting a few, like 6 months before that book starts then. Because Geralt has already made it to Kaer Morhen, and she's been training for 6 months. She's already taking some mutagens as well. So it's not permanent stuff, but she is taking elixirs that allows her to have faster reflexes and be stronger. So the book picks up with her doing things that she shouldn't be able to do.
That is a valiant effort there, Jisnoof. You're going to learn how to read so you can check them out for you, William. That's very nice of you. Thank you. Talking about the Witcher books. So, yes, I would agree with that. And basically they get stuck, and that's when they run into a Bruxa and a cursed guy who basically resembles the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, but he's a hog.
Okay.
It was an interesting plot line. It seemed like almost like a dark and demented version of Beauty and the Beast.
That's made up. So I will say, like, the first book is very low on the action side, so they probably had to make up their own plots where she's fighting things, because it's very much just building up a backstory. So it's about like her becoming a Witcher almost, and Triss comes and helps with that process. But it is revealed that, or at the very least it's hinted towards, that the Witchers actually don't know how to do it. They don't know how to administer the mutagens because of the attack that happened at Kaer Morhen, and like all of the other Witchers have died. So the ones that actually knew how to do the process properly are obviously dead now.
Yeah, there's an attack at Kaer Morhen to start The Witcher 1. And the mutagens are all stolen, actually.
Yeah, so I don't think that's what happens in the books. It's not that they're stolen.
I still think The Witcher 1 happens well after the books.
Oh, okay.
Because he doesn't have that the games he's lost his memories in the start of The Witcher 1. Yeah. So like that's actually part of The Witcher 1. He's lost his memories because he doesn't even remember. And they hint at what's happened in The Witcher 1. They clarify even more in The Witcher 2. And then it sounds like in The Witcher 3 he gets most of, if not all of his memories.
He has them all back completely.
So good story. Honestly, it's a really amazing story.
Do you know who his mother is yet in the show?
Oh, in the show?
Or in the games?
I don't think so.
So you find out in the book. It is actually pretty important.
Okay. Maybe I'll read the books, but you shouldn't tell me. Yeah. I'm assuming it's a sorceress, though. Could be wrong.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it's just important how he becomes a Witcher and his feelings towards the world in general.
Gotcha.
And also why he is the best Witcher.
So in summary, all of the media of The Witcher is worthwhile to watch, read, or play.
Yeah.
It seems like even the Netflix series, if you can get past some of the intense, we'll call it adult scenes in the first season, the season 2 is actually really good.
That is how the sorcerers and witches are depicted in the books. They're pretty deplorable human beings, but I just did not want to see that.
All right. Well, so just to summarize the end here, The Witcher 3 is one of the, in my opinion, greatest games ever made. It's up there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's definitely worth playing, even if you never play the first two. I think the second game for most people is good enough to play and is a great story. And The Witcher 1 is very, very difficult to go back and play at this point. So
I can believe it. Yep.
I would say if anybody, like, unless you're really into keyboard and mouse, which some people are, and enjoyed the combat of KOTOR, The Witcher 1 is definitely something you can skip. But is there anything else you wanted to say about the Witcher series tonight?
No, other than the fact I really enjoy it and I can't wait for the next one.
Awesome. All right. Well, I did promise you we'd stick to about an hour, and here we are. So
here we are. Yeah.
30
seconds over, man.
Don't have any questions in the chat. So we'll move on, and we'll say thank you all for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Bye, guys.